Hey everyone, it's Sarah, and today I am back with another Chatty Get Ready With Me or weekly catch up. As always, I'm gonna jump right in. So as always, I'm gonna start with my Becca Smashbox under eye corrector. I hope you guys have had an amazing week. I have just been so busy. It's just been busy. I've been working a lot. I will tell you, I have been like obsessed with this, like the craziest glitch in the Matrix story I've literally ever heard in my life. If you guys used to watch my other channel, you know that I am like so fascinated by time slips and things that happen to people that they just cannot explain. And I've heard a lot of crazy ones. This one is by far the craziest that I've ever heard. So it's a lady that's on TikTok. She and one of her very good friends who are both on TikTok, who've both told the story from their point of view. I'm gonna put on my Halo, my e.l.f. Halo Glow filter. And it would be one thing if it were just one person, but two people experienced the exact same thing while they were together. And it is just completely unexplainable. So if you're on TikTok and you are on like, you know, strange or paranormal, the paranormal side of TikTok, then you've probably seen a lady that her TikTok name is Auntie Matrix. She's gotten like a very big following by basically reading, I think, like Reddit stories of people, of like glitch in the Matrix stories from Reddit. And now anytime anybody has like a weird experience or something, you know, like paranormal or time slippy happens, they always tag her because she's got such a big audience. Well, I guess back in 2021, this lady, I guess like collaborated with Auntie Matrix or something and told her story. And she had gotten a ton of questions after that. And I don't know if she like followed up or whatever. But anyways, let me just jump into her story because it's insane. I'm going to try to remember all of the details that I can because it's crazy. I'm going to use this Smashbox Halo Healthy Glow All-in-One Tinted Moisturizer. I love this stuff. I forget how much I love it. I forgot to try one of my little new primers, but that's cool. I don't really need one. Okay, so I think these girls were like in their early 20s. I think they were either like, I don't know, I didn't really catch too many of the details at the beginning, but I'm pretty sure they were like in their early 20s. It was two girlfriends that were were like wanting to rent a house together. And so this was back in 2004, I believe. So they start looking for a house to rent, and the main lady, the one that is like the one that has told the story the most, she is also looking for a job. And she says she's got all of these newspapers because those of you that are dinosaurs like me, you remember back in the day when if you wanted to find a job or find a place to live, you had to look in the classified ads in the newspaper because that's just how it was. So anyway, she's got a newspaper for like 3 towns and a major city that is near them, to look for not only a job but a place to live. So she sees a classified ad for this house, and the house is, she said it was like a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And she said there was really nothing in the listing except for the address, a phone number, and the amount of the rent. So she calls it, and she said this guy answers, and he's telling her that he and his brother or something are like fixing up the house and, you know, basically tell her basic information that was in the listing, and she's like, okay, great. When can we come see it? So they set up a time for the girls to go look at it. So the day comes, they drive, and she said that it was in the town that they had grown up in, and they still live in to this day. They've been there their whole lives, from what I understand. It is in Massachusetts, and I'm going to use this. I haven't used this concealer in so long. This is the Florence by Mills See You Never concealer. I actually really love this concealer. It doesn't have the best coverage, and it's got quite a thin consistency, but I really, really love it. Anyway, so she said that they pulled up in the driveway, and she said she specifically remembers pulling up into a driveway and thinking, this is going to be great, because she said that they had always lived in townhouses that had street parking. She said if you ever wanted to like have people over, have a party, and of course they're in their early 20s, so these are things that they're going to want to do. She said that parking is just a nightmare when you live in a townhouse and have to deal with street parking. She said, so she knew, so she remembers thinking, oh, this is going to be ideal because there's a driveway where people could park in. She said that she is always early to things, so they got there a little bit early, and she said while they were sitting there in the driveway, she remembers specifically looking at the house next door. She said there were windows, and she said that there was a window that had 3 panes in it, and the middle pane was broken out. She said there was a big, huge tree that sat right on the corner of that property that was basically, the property line between their property and the driveway they were sitting in. And then she said that next door there was a laundromat, and she said the laundromat's parking lot basically bled into the property that this house that they were going to be looking at was sitting on. And she also thought, oh, that's awesome, because again, if we want to have people over, they can park in the laundromat parking lot and just walk over. It's, this is perfect. So the guy gets there, and she said that she couldn't even tell you what he looks like. Now, mind you, this is the 20th anniversary, which is why she's like talking about it again, and why it's come up again. But she said there was nothing remarkable about this guy at all. She said she remembers he had a slight belly. He was wearing like a jeans and t-shirt. She said he was so unremarkable. She couldn't tell you what he looked like, but she said they didn't get creepy vibes from him at all. Everything seemed like above board. So he brings them for some reason, he brings them around to the back of the house, and she said, I'm gonna actually I'm gonna put a tiny bit of my Becca powder on my under eyes, because they're just a tiny bit. I have to use a different corner here because Charlotte got it all dirty when she did her crazy makeup that day. Anyway, so he brings them in, and I think it put him into the kitchen or something. The back door did. I can't totally remember. But they go in, and she said they walked in the house, and it was really, really dirty. It was really dirty, really dusty. She said you could see light coming in through the curtains in the living room, but that was basically all of the light in the house. All the lights were turned off, and he either just didn't turn the lights on or the power was out. They weren't totally sure. Okay, I'm gonna use, this is my Marc Jacobs Tantric Omega Bronze in Tantric. I haven't used this bronzer in such a long time. It's such a beautiful bronzer. But anyway, so they're walking through the house. Again, she said that you could see dust particles everywhere coming in through the curtain, where the light was shining through the curtains. She said everything was just dusty, dirty. They thought it was kind of weird because he had said that he and his brother were fixing it up, and it wasn't really, in a fixed up condition. But she said she was trying to be positive, and she was seeing that there were built-in shelves places, and she was seeing all these positive things. And So she said that he made a comment like, wait until you guys see the master bedroom. You guys are gonna fight over it because it's got a huge closet and, you know, with you girls and all your clothes. Or she said he made some kind of comment like that. So she said they didn't really think anything of it. They just thought, oh yeah, I mean, he's probably right because yeah, we do have a lot of clothes and a big closet would be awesome. So they get to the back bedroom and she said, again, it was dark back there. There was like, you know, there were no lights on. She said you could see the light coming in from the living room. You could still kind of see it in the bedroom, but that it was still very, very dim. And she said the closet was just this big hole in the wall and it was pitch black. She said like so black you could not see your hand in front of your face. Like it was just pitch black. She said at this point they're starting to get a little bit sketched out because, you know, this dude is like talking about this closet. He's telling them, he's trying to get them to go in the closet. He's like, oh yeah, just go in. You guys will see, like, it goes all the way to the back and you can see how big it is and all this. He's just like trying to get them to go in the closet. And both girls are like, she said that her red flag alarms were going off at this point. Like, hell no, I'm not going into this closet. But she was afraid, she didn't want him to know that they were both really nervous. And she said it was to the point they were so nervous that like, she felt like she could telepathically communicate with her friend. Like, basically like screaming in her mind, we've got to get out of here, like red flag, something's wrong. And he just keeps telling them to go look in the closet, and both of them are like making excuses like, oh no, it's fine, we, you know, I really kind of want to see the rest of the house, or, you know, whatever. They're trying like to just make excuses to just get out of there. Now this is where it gets a little fuzzy for me. I can't remember if she said that he like pushed them both into the closet, but I'm pretty sure that that's what she said, that like he pushed them both into the closet and that's the last thing they remember from being in the house. After that, they both came to in her car. She's driving, they're stopped at a light. Both of them are like coming to, and it's hours later, like hours later. And she said that they couldn't have been sitting at that light for too long because somebody would have, you know, people would be honking at them, like, so she thinks that they must have just gotten to the light. And if you watch, because I watched the other girl, her friend also has a TikTok channel, and I watched her video of her telling the story too. And she said, if you remember like when you go to the movies and they do that Dolby Digital like wah, like sound, if you guys know what I'm talking about, I know that's not exactly how it sounds, but I'm gonna use this Tarte blush in the shade called Charmed. It's a really beautiful coral. But she said that that's what it was like. She said she couldn't hear anything at first. I think both of them said they couldn't hear anything at first, but she couldn't hear anything at first. And then she said everything started to come into focus, and she said it sounded like that Dolby Digital, like coming into focus. And she said, and then all of a sudden she could hear everything. When the main girl that has told the story, she said when she came to awareness, that she could see her friend. I think her friend's name is Kayla. I think it's Kayla or Kylie. Kayla, maybe. She said that she could see her talking, but she couldn't hear her. And she said that once they both got like oriented, they looked at each other and said, like, what happened? How did we get out of there? And neither of them had any idea. They had no idea. All they knew was that it was hours later and that they were 3 miles across town at this point. And that's another point that she makes at the very beginning. She talks about how, yes, this is the town they grew up in their whole life, but this is not a side of town that they were super, super familiar with. Like, of course, they knew of it and they had been there before, but it wasn't where any of them lived. They all lived like in another part of the town, so they just didn't It just wasn't a place that they frequented super often. So anyways, they were like trying to rationalize what happened. She said that literally the only thing that they could come up with was that maybe something so horrible had happened to them that their memories just completely blocked it out. And she said neither of them felt like that was what had happened, but they just didn't know of any other way to rationalize it. So, but the thing is, they had no marks on them, no bruises. If they had been assaulted in any way, they would know. But there was just literally nothing. They had no physical signs of harm on their bodies. I'm going to use the same Lottie London highlighter that I used last week, because I'm going to use more of these shades. And I think I'm going to go in with the more gold shade today. So anyways, life goes on, and they just chalked it up to something, you know, they didn't know how to explain it. It was really very scary for them, so they honestly didn't even want to think about it too much anymore. They just wanted to kind of move on with their lives, and that's what they did. But separately, at some point over the next couple of weeks, both girls had driven by that area where that house was that they went to see, and the house was not there. So, and they had both, like I said, they had both at separate, like not together, had driven by there and both seen that the house was not there. And again, they were really like scared and didn't even really want to acknowledge it. So it was a couple weeks before they even mentioned it to one another that the house wasn't there. I think they just kind of like, well, I don't know. I don't know what they thought, but they knew something was really, really wrong because the house wasn't there. She said that legitimately, when she drove by, she said that the house that had the broken window pane with the big tree in its yard and the laundromat were right next to each other. Their property lines met. She said there's literally no place that house could have ever even been because the property that it sat on didn't even exist. So, dude, I have heard some crazy time slip, glitch in the matrix stories in my time. I have, I was like Auntie Matrix. Years ago, I would get on Reddit and I would just lose hours and hours of my life to reading these glitch in the matrix or time slip stories. So I have seen them all. I've had some really strange things happen to me. Really, it was just in that Landrum house that we were renting, and I'll tell you guys in a minute something really weird that happened to me there. I talked about it on my TikTok channel because it was wild. But it's nothing like that. Like nothing, not even close to that. I've never heard anything quite as crazy. Like that story takes the cake. And the reason why is because, again, both of them were together. They both experienced the same exact thing. They both remember it vividly to this day. And there's absolutely no way to explain it. I mean, the whole thing is just wild. So I would love to hear what you guys think happened. I mean, there's so many people and she is continually making follow-up videos right now. Like I've been watching and thank goodness because I watch them and I'm so interested by them. Thank goodness like the algorithm has picked up on that and is keeping me in the loop and keeps every single one of her videos coming up on my For You page now. Thank goodness, because as people are answering questions or asking questions, she's answering all of them with like video replies. And it's so interesting. She's pretty sure that they experienced some kind of time slip. Now, they don't know if they really don't even want to think about the fact that something so bad happened to them that maybe they died in that timeline and then jumped to a new timeline altogether. which has really, people that have had experiences like that, it's really fed into this idea of quantum immortality now, where there's this theory that quantum immortality exists, where like when you die, you never actually die. Like when you die in one timeline, your consciousness just transfers to another one and you go on living, which I just can't think that that's a thing. I feel like if you live the life that you were supposed to have lived, why would you transfer into another version of you in another timeline? Like, I don't know, maybe it happens when something happens that like is out of God's, I don't know, like when something happens and you pass away and you weren't supposed to. I don't know. I just cannot wrap my head around it. The idea of quantum immortality kind of horrifies me though. I mean, I can't imagine like having to continue your life as the same person. Like, oh my gosh, can you imagine anything worse? I just cannot. So the whole idea of quantum immortality, like I actually kind of hate it. And I'm really, really hoping that it's not a thing, but it does explain, like, I do think if it is a thing, I do think that it's got something to do with like the fact that it was not meant to be that way. It wasn't meant to be your time. Like something happened and it wasn't supposed to. That's the only thing that I can think of. Anyways, I'm going to be using this palette right here. This is the Colourpop Wild Nothing palette. It's just a really pretty, very easy breezy, very light, neutrally palette. And then I've also got my glitters here in case, these are all Colourpop glitters, in case I'm feeling a glitter. So I haven't quite decided on what shades I'm going to do yet. I think I'm just going to start with this neutral one right here. Anyways, yeah, another crazy glitch in the Matrix story that I've heard, that's kind of similar to that, and it also happened to two friends. It was a story about this girl and her best friend, who I think was a guy, and they had been at a music festival, and they were driving home from this music festival, and they stopped at a gas station, and the guy, I think while she's pumping gas, the guy got out and like went to the bathroom and got some snacks and stuff, and it was late. And the girl, this one's crazy because the girl actually, after all of this happens, the girl does remember what happened. But anyways, it was the same situation. They were like sitting at the gas station, and all of a sudden they wake up and they're like 15 minutes away from their home. When they'd stopped at the gas station, they were still like 2 hours away. But when they woke up, they were like 15 minutes away from home, or pulling in, like driving into their town. And it was the same situation where they both like looked at each other and said, dude, what just happened? Like, we were just at the gas station. And they were like so confused. They knew they still had like 2 or 3 hours to drive before they even got home, and all of a sudden they were at home. Well, as in this story, as the days go on, the girl starts to remember what happened, and she said that they did get back on the road after they stopped at the gas station. They did get back on the road. I'm just taking that same neutral shade under my eyes. And that she nodded off at the wheel, and that the next thing she remembers was that they were like, I forget, I think they were like off the road going down a cliff like into water, and she remembers them being in the water, and she said she remembers her best friend passing away. I'm assuming she did as well. And the next thing they know, they woke up and were close to home. So I don't even know. These stories are mind-blowing to me, and I believe people. I don't think that they're just making this stuff up. So anyways, like, I could go on and on. There's another story about, I think I'm gonna put this shade right here just very lightly all over my lid. I think I'm gonna tap it on with my finger. Yeah. There was another story that I read on Reddit. Gosh, it's been a really long time ago, but it was another story about this guy who his job, he had to like travel a lot with his job, and he had a girlfriend, and he like really, really loved his girlfriend, but they weren't married. He was just one of those people that like, he enjoyed his life the way that it was. He didn't want children. He really didn't want to get married. He enjoyed his life. He enjoyed his job. He made really good money. He got to travel a lot. He loved his girlfriend, so they had a good relationship. Like, his life was just going pretty swimmingly. And, he had to go on a work trip, and I forget exactly what happened, but he was flying home. He was like on his way home, and something happened. I can't remember if like the plane got struck by lightning or something happened though, and he, like, 1 second he was sitting on the plane, and then the next thing he knows, he wakes up and he's at home in bed with his girlfriend next to him, who is pregnant and has a wedding ring on. So wherever he ended up, they were married and about to have a baby, and he was like, whoa, like, what's going on here? This is not my life, dude. I am not married. I don't want kids. Like, what's happening? Okay, I'm gonna tap this. It's like one of those, I think this is actually a Super Shock shadow. I'm gonna see what happens if I tap this over. If that's gonna give me the sparkle I want without glitter. It's okay. I feel like it didn't really do much. Maybe it did. But anyways, yeah, I've been obsessed with the disappearing house story. If you guys want to see the story yourself, just go on TikTok, search like Glitch in the Matrix disappearing house or something like that, and I'm sure it will come up. But oh my gosh, I've just been obsessed with it because it's just insane. And there's like a whole bunch of new Mandela effects that people have been noticing too. Like Coca-Cola doesn't have a squiggle in the middle of it anymore. It's got like an apostrophe. I don't know about you guys, but I've always known Coke to have a squiggle in it. I've never seen it with an apostrophe. I have no idea like what is even happening right now, but they keep happening. And I have very mixed feelings about Mandela effects because companies have been, Fruit of the Loom for sure, has been caught just outright lying. Fruit of the Loom claims that they have never had a cornucopia in their logo ever. They even have it on the internet where they have like where it like shows all of their logos over the years, and in none of them is there a cornucopia. And I don't know about you, but if you're like an 80s kid like me, chances are your teacher taught you what cornucopias are by showing you or referring to the Fruit of the Loom logo. I mean, it's just such it definitely happened. Like, it definitely was. Well, a girl, you can find this on TikTok too. There's a girl that had a shirt that still had the old logo on the tag in it that had the cornucopia on it. So she called out Fruit of the Loom. Like, why are you lying? Why are you trying to tell us that this never happened? Well, I feel like, and a lot of people have said that the reason that they're doing, I'm gonna use my little eyeliner brush, and I'm gonna go in with this dark brown shade. I still haven't decided if I'm gonna put a glitter on or not. I kind of want to, just because, you know, I love some sparkle. I think I am gonna put a little bit of glitter on. I think I'm gonna do this one right here. It's got very, very fine glitter in it. But anyways, I've heard people say, and this is like kind of conspiracy theory at this point, everything that I've said up until now, though, about the logos and stuff is definitely not conspiracy theory. And I know a lot of people think that Mandela effects are conspiracy theory. They're not. Now, whether it's something unexplainable, which it very well could be, like I said, there are companies that are definitely getting caught scrubbing and lying. And for what reason, I have no idea. But I have seen people speculate that they're doing it because they want to see if they can make people think that, like, they're seeing how much of it they can get away with so that they can start basically rewriting history and convincing people that no, what you were taught and what you think, that's not even real. Like, you're crazy. We're, you know, just completely gaslighting everybody, saying that, you know, what you know isn't what you know. What you know isn't reality. Like, just convincing people that they're, you know, crazy. Gaslighting everybody. There's definitely a reason for it. It's not, you know, a company like Fruit of the Loom isn't going to just do all that and lie for no reason. There's definitely some reason for it. I just don't know what that reason is. But yeah, it's happening and it's wild. And now Coke is the newest one saying that, you know, doing the same thing with their logo. Okay, that's better. Now I've got the sparkle I'm looking for. I love glitter. But anyways, you know, and I was watching this documentary on, I think it was on Tubi, and it's called Frogging, because there's like the phenomenon of people that live in people's homes without them knowing, like, you know, the people that notice that food's missing, and so they set up a camera in their kitchen, and all of a sudden they see a woman climb down from like a door in the ceiling or something every night and just eats these people's food because she's like living in their attic unbeknownst to them. It was a documentary about cases like that. Well, there's a really famous one that happened in Hawaii with this family. It's a husband and wife, and they had 2 children, and somebody was living in their home unbeknownst to them. They like went on vacation, and when they came home, there was this crazy, like legitimately crazy dude in their house. They had to call the police, and they found all of this stuff where like he wanted to perform surgeries on the family. Like, it's wild. If you guys are interested in that, again, it's on Tubi, and it is crazy. Like, he had a notebook that described all of these surgeries that he wanted to perform on the family. He was sitting at the woman, the wife, she had like a desk like mine where she did all of her makeup, and like she would sit there and watch YouTube tutorials, to like makeup tutorials to do her makeup with or whatever. And there's a video of him that he recorded of himself sitting at her desk, putting on her makeup, saying all of these crazy things. He like knew all of these, he just knew a lot of like personal information about the family. Just a lot of weird. It was just a crazy, crazy story. But anyways, the whole time this is happening, things are being moved around in their house, and they know that things are being moved around in their house. But people are so conditioned at this point to not ask questions, to think that everything is fine and normal, that they will literally convince themselves that what they're seeing with their own eyes and what is happening to them in their own reality isn't happening, and that they didn't see it. People will literally convince themselves that they are not seeing it, that it's not happening. I mean, it is the craziest thing, like the craziest phenomenon I have ever seen in my life. You know, they would have stuff moved around in their house, and they would just convince themselves that one of the kids did it, or that it wasn't moved, or that it hadn't been like that before. They would just convince themselves that it wasn't, that nothing was happening. And it's scary, because I think that a lot of people live their lives like that they're so, people are so conditioned to think that nothing out of the ordinary ever happens, that everything's fine. You know, that they won't even literally question what they're seeing and experiencing firsthand. And it's scary. It's so scary to me. But anyways, you can see what I've been preoccupied with all week. I've been just following along with the disappearing house story. She's got a whole list of stuff. She's gonna go to the Historical Society. She's going to, and that's another thing, the way she described the house, she said it basically had like just cement steps on the front that went up to the front door, like maybe 4 or 5 steps that went up to the front door. And then it was just a box. She said the house was just a box. So I think she wants to go to the Historical Society to see if, I mean, at some point in time, if a house had ever been there. Some people have said, that's another thing, some of the comments that she gets, people are convinced that she just doesn't know. Like, she just must have been on the wrong street. And that's what somebody said. They were like, you know, maybe you were next to a different laundromat. And she was like, dude, I've lived in this town my entire life. Like, there's no other laundromat. The way that the town is laid out, it's like mostly residential. And she said that you'll get like a pop of, you know, some kind of a gas station or a store here and there. And she said that that's basically what it was like. Like, they were in a residential area that just happens to have a laundromat, you know, right there. But people, it's so funny. There are just certain people, and I'm not knocking anybody, because my husband is this kind of person. Like, he'll literally say the most nonsensical thing to try to explain something away, because he cannot tolerate not being able to know, not being able to explain something. So he'll make up in his mind the craziest explanation to try to make sense of something. And, you know, there are just certain things that we're never going to be able to make sense of, because we don't know the depths of this world. We don't even understand our own realities for the most part. And some people just have the hardest time coming to terms with that there are things in this world that are unexplainable, and that we are not going to ever be able to explain. But anyways, she's got this list of things. She's gonna go to the library, to the Historical Society. Like, she's just trying to find any information that she can, because I think enough time has passed that it doesn't scare her quite as bad as it did. So she's like willing to look more into it. I mean, I just can't even imagine. So I'll tell you, this happened to me maybe a few months before we moved out of the house that we were renting in Landrum. So that's when my 2 girl kitties are living with my mom right now, because they are indoor-outdoor cats. Like, they have to be able to go outside. And my mom has, you know, plenty of space for them to go outside, and they can't go outside here in this apartment. There's nowhere for them to. So my girl kitties are living with my mom right now, but when we were at the house that we were renting, we had my 2 girl kitties, and then I think this was before Pistol showed up. So this was like right before, yeah, it was before Pistol showed up. So I had my 2 girl kitties, but by that time Felix had shown up. Felix had adopted us probably months before that, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months before that. Well, the girls really, really hate Felix. Like, they really hate him. So they would be fine as long as he didn't get near them. But every once in a while, and this was before we got him fixed, so he still had that like male aggression. But every once in a while, he would just, like, out of nowhere, he wasn't like attacking them like in a mean way. He would just mess with them. He would just want to, you know, like, kind of bully them. So I remember one morning I got up, and I would usually let him in the mornings because he used to like to go outside all the time. Nowadays he doesn't really care. But I woke up one morning, and every morning I would let him in, and I would feed them all, because I feed them all their wet food in the morning. So I would feed them all, and then usually after that Felix would want to go outside. Sometimes he would stay in and kind of lay around or just whatever. Well, that morning he was just in a mood where he was just wanting to like bully the girls. So after a couple times of him like trying to mess with the girls, I picked him up and I put him out. And I even said, as I was opening the door and putting them out, I was talking to one of my girl cats, Flower, and I was like, okay, Flower, I'm gonna put him out. Don't worry, I'm gonna put him out, and then you'll be able to, you know, rest and relax. And I opened the front door and I put him outside. So I'm like doing whatever I'm doing, you know, about 15 minutes has passed. I forget, I think I like had gotten done drinking my coffee, and I was gonna get up and go into the kitchen, put my coffee mug in the sink, and I get up and I walk around the couch to walk into the kitchen, and here comes Felix walking down the hall. And at first I was so stunned, because when you know something for sure, like your gut tells you. And I knew in my gut, I was like, oh my gosh, how did he get in? Well, people, when I told this story on TikTok, again, people were like, he must have been able to get in somewhere. No, it was a very small house, about 800 square feet. The only ways in the house are the front door or the back door, which was all the way back in the laundry room. And that's what I thought at first. I thought, well, maybe I left the back door open because I would let my dogs out the back door. But I knew so I look down there, the back door is completely closed, dead-bolted. We never open windows in the house, so there's no way he could have gotten in from a window. There's nowhere he could have come up from the floor. Like, there's just no possible way that he could have gotten in the house. So, I mean, to this day, I have no idea how he got back in. But I know for sure what I did. I know for sure that he was out. Like, there's just, I don't know. There's no explanation. Is it as crazy as any of the other stories I've heard or read? Absolutely not. It creeped me out. And I've had other weird things. Actually, there was one time that Charlotte, like, she was in my jewelry box, which is one of those big mirrors that has the door that opens up. This was when we were at our last house in Tryon that we sold. But she was in her jewelry box, and she had a pair of earrings, and she like dropped one. So she calls me back. This was in my room. She calls me back there, and she said, Mom, come here. I lost one of my earrings. Can you come help me find it? And I was like, yeah. So I walk back there. I'm like literally looking everywhere. I'm looking all over in the jewelry box, which it's, you know, like a flat wall that has, you know, like places for rings and stuff, but it's not like it was a big pit she dropped it into, you know? It was like, I don't even know. So I'm like looking everywhere, and I could not find it. I was like on my hands and knees. I looked under the bed. I looked all over the floor. Like, I legitimately looked everywhere, and we could not find it anywhere. Like, could not find it. So we both go out into the living room and we're standing there because my daughter wants to tell my husband about it. The fact that she lost an earring and it just like disappeared and she couldn't find it. So we're standing there talking to my husband. She's telling him the story, and all of a sudden, I'm not even kidding you, and you guys are not even going to believe me that this is what happened, but this is what happened. That earring legitimately like appeared from out of nowhere in the air in front of us, and she and I were standing facing each other with my husband like on the other side, and that, I'm not even kidding you guys, that earring appeared out of thin air and dropped. It just fell from the sky down in between us, and tink, hit the floor in between us. And even my husband was standing there, and even he saw it, but of course he had to rationalize it and say that it was in Charlotte's hair and that it must have been in her hair somewhere and it just dropped down. Dude, it came down from in the middle of us. There was no explanation. I mean, I don't even know. It's so wild. I've had some really weird things happen, but, and most of the time, like, nobody believes me. My mom won't believe me. Charlotte will believe me. But, just like when we very first moved into this apartment, I was laying in my bed and something touched my back. I turned over thinking that it was going to be one of my cats that had jumped up and got on the bed. And I turned over and there was nothing there. Literally nothing there. And I had some weird things happen in this apartment when we very first moved in, but I haven't had anything, knock on wood, I haven't had anything weird happen in like a month now. Okay, these are the Stila products that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. So I've got this liquid lipstick. This is in the shade Perla. It's a really light pink tone, really light cool tone pink. I don't think I'm going to be able to get away with this, but I think I'm going to mix it with some lip liner to darken it up a little bit, and I think it'll be pretty. I got this really pretty nail polish. This is called Mineral Fusion, which I've never heard of this brand, but it's this gorgeous green. I had to have it. I'm going to go back. They've got a couple of red shades I'm going to go back for. Hopefully they'll still have them. And then 2 of these Stila lip glosses. When I was seeing people on TikTok find these, I was thinking they were eyeshadows, but they are actually lip glosses. This one is in the shade called Synergy, which is this gorgeous kind of slightly cool tone pink. They've got writing everywhere, so it's hard to see, but it's so pretty. It's got a pearl to it. And then this shade, this is what we're gonna put on today. This is in the shade called Elevator Pitch. And this is like a duochromy kind of reddy orange shade. It's quite sheer. It looks like it's really pigmented, but it's actually quite sheer. Yeah, it's like a duochrome, reddish orange. Or it's not, sorry, not reddish orange. It's orange with like a very strong pink shift. Ooh, I can't tell if my lips are really chapped or if I can really feel the glitter in this. I think I can really feel the glitter in it. Oh, it smells good. It smells kind of like fruity vanilla. I was not expecting to be able to find the Stila stuff at mine. My Dollar Trees usually don't get any of the good stuff, but I think I told you guys before, I found another Dollar Tree that it's like such a huge good one. So that's the one I went to, and that's where I found all of these things. So I am super excited about my Dollar Tree Stila finds. So anyways, you guys, oh my gosh, I blabbed. I knew once I got talking about the glitch in the Matrix stories, I was not going to be able to stop because I am obsessed with them. Okay, so that is makeup done. I'm such a weirdo. I don't like my eyes being really dark, and I don't like them being really light either. And this is almost too light for me. I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like weird when my eyeshadow is this light. And that is the Stila lip gloss. I don't know if you can see the color of it or if you can see the pink shift. But anyways, you guys, I do hope that you enjoyed that. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you have any glitch in the Matrix stories, holy cow, put them in the comments. I would love to hear them, even if it's something that didn't happen to you, if it's just something that you heard about, I would love to hear about it. Anyways, I do hope that you all enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.